The time is now to architect a life of excellence. What will we do? Who will we become? We decide today. This is Learn, Do, Become Radio. Let's move onward and upward together.
Hello and welcome to Learn, Do, Become Radio. This is April Perry. Today I want to share 4 audio versions of posts from our website that can help you to architect a life of excellence. Now, our biggest program right now at Learn, Do, Become is our Steps to Everyday Productivity program, the STEP program, which shows you how to build and maintain a command central and get rid of all the piles in your life. We have a free class that has served more than 100,000 people in our community over the past few years, and you can find that at learndobecome.com/step if you haven't yet attended. But we're not just about organization and productivity here at Learn, Do, Become. We want you to have a balanced, happy, meaningful life and an incredibly strong family. We want to create a space where each one of us can feel excited about our unique mission and purpose and actually live it, because that's how we collectively change the world. Now, my husband Eric and I have been talking a lot behind the scenes here about how we can best support this community moving forward. Of course, we're still going to be growing our STEP program because I have a vision of a command central on every desk. But there's more growing in our hearts, and we are so happy that you're here with us. If you're not yet receiving emails from Learn, Do, Become, please go to our homepage and sign up for our free printable guide and audio download. It's called 5 Life-Changing Habits Most People Overlook. That will give you a broader view of what Learn, Do, Become is all about, and will give you the chance to hear what's happening at Learn, Do, Become in the future. So enjoy today's posts, and I hope that they lift you today. The first one is called Appreciate the Gaps. This is actually one of the first posts that we published when Learn, Do, Become was created back in 2015. And I'm just going to share a little bit about what I've learned about appreciating the gaps. All right, so when I pictured myself becoming a parent, this is the nursery I envisioned, and you can't see the picture, but it's there on the post. It's beautiful, white and tan, with a little lamb and bunnies and a chandelier, and it's gorgeous. However, my husband and I decided to start our family soon after we got married, while we were finishing up our bachelor's degrees, and our first nursery wasn't even a nursery at all. We simply put our baby Aaliyah to sleep in her stroller, and then we parked it in various corners of our 1-bedroom student apartment, depending on which space we were going to utilize as we studied, got ready for the day, and prepared for our future together. Sometimes we had to park the stroller in our only bathroom with the brakes set and a pillow against the counter so she wouldn't kick her way out. And I have a little picture there if you want to see our little baby stroller in the bathroom. That was her nursery. Not exactly like I imagined. It was quite a gap between what I wanted and what I actually had. This story also reminds me of a time I desperately needed a Halloween costume when I was 11 years old. My older, taller, beautiful sister Paige was dressed as a flapper girl from the 1920s. You can see in her picture how she had this beautiful headband and the boa around her neck and this beautiful red and black dress. I remember going into my mom's room the night before our Halloween carnival and complaining that I didn't have anything to wear. "Oh, April," she said reassuringly, "you don't need to worry one bit. I just found a book at the library that shows you how to make dozens of costumes with only a white bedsheet." And then I have a photo of what her magic created. And it's me dressed in a bedsheet as a mouse. You're going to have to go see the picture. I'll have a link to it on the show notes page so you can see it. When I came across that picture the other day while I was visiting my parents, I laughed so hard that my stomach started to cramp. I remembered how my mom used pink yarn to stitch the top of the sheet, and how she stuffed crumpled newspapers inside to give the costume that bulky look, so I looked like a nice fat mouse. I remembered how it started to rain and the ink from the newspaper bled through the sheet. I remembered comparing myself to my sister and wondering why I was so very awkward. I mean, seriously. And when you look at the comparison, it's just funny. Now, in retrospect, my mom was totally being helpful, and I was young and I was fine being dressed as a mouse, but it's really funny when you go back and look at it. The gap is clear. My children have been laughing with me about this all week. So why am I sharing these stories? I've come to realize that every single one of us feels multiple gaps in our lives. We want to have, do, or be something better than we are. And when the results don't come as quickly as we'd like, or when they seem completely out of our grasp, we become frustrated or discouraged. These kinds of feelings aren't limited to our youth. In fact, I think the gaps start to feel more and more painful as we age. Midlife crisis, anyone? Because instead of comforting ourselves with words like, oh, we'll get to it someday, or maybe when we're older, we'll have X, Y, and Z, we start to feel like we've totally missed the boat, and there isn't time to make up for our lives of, quote, failures. Well, that kind of thinking not only isn't helpful, but it isn't true. And if we want to move forward with the time we have available to us in this life, we've got to replace those thoughts with something better. So here are 3 ideas. Number 1, when we wisely persist in pursuing well-selected goals, we will see progress. I know it feels like a snail's crawl most days, but when I consider the 2 stories I shared above and look at what has actually come to pass in my life, the progress is clear. Our daughter Aaliyah has grown into an intelligent, beautiful, loving young lady. I have her picture there in the post, and she's actually starting college this fall. The same college where Eric and I met and got married and where we were going to school when she was sleeping in the bathroom, which is kind of fun. She doesn't remember sleeping in our bathroom. She doesn't complain about the sad, sorry way she was welcomed into our new home and family. And once she got her own bedroom as a teenager, she created a beautiful space that lifted me every time I saw it. I've got a picture in there too. She's such an artist and she totally decorates every space. She's awesome. That gap is closing. And what about Halloween? Well, I grew up and became the mom and decided to avoid the white bed sheets when it was time to come up with some costumes. And although my husband wasn't as thrilled as I was, I have a picture of the last time I made him dress up. I created a little royal family that made me smile. You can also see the picture on the post if you want to come to the website, where we all have little robes and crowns. So fun. Now, our kids are older and a couple of them dress up, but the rest of us don't, and we totally survived. Number 2, while the process might be hard sometimes, we're becoming someone better. These gaps we see in our lives may drive us crazy, but think about what they motivate us to do. Move forward in our careers, spend extra time reading stories to our children, try out new recipes, go on a date with our spouse, open our hearts to God, to name a few. As Eric and I were talking about this the other day, he said, I wouldn't give up what our challenges have helped us to become. What if everything had come easy for us? What if we never had to struggle or work long hours or put in so much energy to build our family and all the good things we have in our lives today? In His wisdom, through all the challenges and opportunities, God has been good to us. There are many times I would have gladly opted for an easier course, but in hindsight, the gaps in my life have been the catalysts for creating or attaining everything that really matters to me. Now, I want to add a little caveat that I really do believe that the hard work and the effort that we put in yields great results. I also believe that sometimes we set ourselves up to work a lot harder than we need to. That a lot of times, as we change our focus and our mindset, and as we let really good things come into our lives, it doesn't have to be as hard as we sometimes make it. Number 3, when we define happiness accurately, we realize it's closer than it seems. This is one of our favorite definitions of happiness. It's a little quote we've found. It says, happiness is not having what you want, but wanting what you have. I think there's a lot of wisdom in that. Our wants are going to change. That's a given. I'm not concerned about my home decor or my Halloween costumes anymore. To be clear, being happy with what we have doesn't mean that we're okay with mediocrity. It's not a cop-out or a justification for just being great with our life and never reaching for something more. But if I can shift my thinking and spend more time appreciating my precious family, my incredible mentors, my safe home, and yes, the gaps I experience, I think that's a pretty solid recipe for a happy, productive, wonderful life. One that continues to get better with effort, time, and divine help. So here's a learn, do, become takeaway. As far as what to learn, here's a question. How have you come to appreciate and close the gaps in your life? Hopefully you can have a little time to reflect on that. And then for doing and becoming, take a couple of minutes to apply the ideas from this post or maybe something else that came to mind, and write down 3 of the most apparent gaps you're dealing with and what those gaps are inspiring you to change and improve in your life. Then whenever you start to feel discouraged about your lack of progress in those areas, review your notes and recommit to your plan of action. These ideas help me every day because even today, Eric and I had been working on a project and we thought it was going to be awesome. And it turned out to be about half as awesome as we expected. But we realized as we keep working, some days are going to be below average and some are going to be above average. And when you do good, consistent work and you do the very best you can without worrying about perfectionism, oh my goodness, it makes such a difference. All right, going into our second post for today, it's called A Daily Routines Checklist to Keep You Super Happy. The title kind of makes me laugh. All right, let's keep going. I have a problem that I'm guessing you might have too. I get so caught up taking care of things that I forget to take care of myself. And then I get cranky and my family feels it, and it really takes the fun out of things. But I figured out a solution that totally works every time. It's called my stabilizing mechanism. And I kind of feel ridiculous posting a picture of it. But in 2 separate interactions with close friends, I opened my planner to show them how it works, and they both asked to take pictures. So here you go. Now you can see the picture on the actual post page if you want to go to that, but I'll just describe it. So I took a little yellow Post-it note and I wrote stabilizing mechanism, and then I created little check boxes. And next to each checkbox, I made a little image to remind me what I need to do to take care of myself. And I used different colors and I made the images kind of fun. So you can either copy what I did or you could make your own that's going to be more tailored to your needs. But the images represent the following: sleep, scripture study, prayer, healthy food, water, time with my loved ones, a shower, exercise, a mood log, written exercise based on the work of Dr. David Burns, which I have an awesome podcast with him if you haven't heard that yet. It's on Learn, Do, Become Radio. Sunshine, time to talk on the phone with a friend, a good book to read, time to think, and a doable task list. I keep this on a sticky note in my planner, and the reason I use little drawings instead of a written list is because Nancy Duarte, who's the author of Resonate, taught me that our brains think in pictures, and I totally see that. And to give you a feel for how I use this list, I'll describe what happened just this morning. Our family completed our move to a new home last night. Now, this was written last year. We're living out of boxes, eating whatever we can find in our kitchen, staying up super late and working long hours to fix up the house, create order, and establish new systems for our family. We've kind of exhausted ourselves over the past few weeks. I woke up this morning after just a little bit of sleep and had to hurry to call 2 repair shops, get 3 of my children packed and off to their week-long youth camps with church, figure out the laundry situation, handle some important emails, and complete a bunch of other little tasks that desperately needed my attention. At one point in the morning, when I realized I'd completely forgotten an important time-sensitive task, I lost it. My brain couldn't take it anymore, and I sat in the corner of my room and had a total meltdown. Of course, that was the perfect time to text Eric and tell him all about it. What a failure I was, how I couldn't possibly get my feet under me, etc., etc. But then I remembered my stabilizing mechanism. Its main purpose is to keep me stable before I even get close to a meltdown. But it also pulls me out of the craziness, which is why I love it so much. Essentially, it's a routines checklist, a simple way to review all the little things that help me to feel calm and on my game. I opened my planner and realized that I hadn't done any of these this morning. Guessing you saw that coming. Why do we sometimes wait until we are depleted in every area before we do something about it? Well, I kicked myself into gear, and at the end of the night, Eric asked, "So how are you doing now?" "Great," I responded. "I did a bunch of things on my stabilizing mechanism, and I'm actually feeling fantastic." He then tentatively said, "It kind of reminds me of that movie, 50 First Dates." I don't know if you've seen that one with Drew Barrymore and Adam Sandler, but it's really funny. "Because I feel great tonight, and then tomorrow I will totally forget and we'll have to start this process all over again?" I asked, kind of laughing, but secretly feeling a little sorry for my husband. "You have no idea," he replied, with his teasing/serious voice. He is a very patient man. So here's my goal for this week, and I thought you might like it too. I am going to remember to look at my stabilizing mechanism every day. And I'll plan my day accordingly, taking care of myself way before I'm about to have a meltdown. Yes, it seems like we don't have time for all of this, and realistically, we don't need all of these things every single day. But when we can accurately identify what we need in order to thrive, create a simple checklist using pictures that our brain can quickly scan, and then implement those routines, the results are staggering. Here's to all of us being super happy this week and onward. Give it a try and then report back in the comments section. Now, I actually do encourage you to go to the comment section on that post because other community members actually shared how they've adapted either what I've created or something that they've heard from other teachers or things they've read in books and how they create their own little system. So fun to see how this can really be tailored to meet everyone's needs. So go check out that post called A Daily Routines Checklist to keep you super happy. Okay. Now, since I'm already talking about tantrums, I'm going to share another post that I wrote. This was about a year prior to that post called Why I Had a Little Tantrum and What Helped Me Get Over It. I stomped around the house in a huff on Friday morning before heading out to my nephew's wedding. When I mentioned it to one of my sisters, she replied, "I can't see you doing that." But I did. I really did. I don't have a temper, and it's not typical for me to slam doors or throw fits, but I was frustrated about too many things at the same time, and I thought maybe you could relate and that you might want to know what got me out of it. We're here at Learn, Do, Become to strengthen families. And when we can win the game that's going on inside our heads, the ripple effect on our loved ones is huge. I'll start by sharing some examples of what was going through my mind. Now, as I'm looking back on this, 2 years ago, I'm thinking, why was I so worried about these things? But the fact is I was. So I'm going to share, and then I can share where I am today. Still a work in progress. Number 1, I decluttered the pencil drawer that morning, and I was at a loss for how it had become such a mess. Seriously. Not even one working pencil in there. And why were there 4 marbles? I have a little picture. Then I realized the plastic bin I bought for chopped vegetables didn't fit in the fridge. And Eric casually mentioned that perhaps I should have measured the shelves before buying the container, and I pretty much exploded in the kitchen asking why he had to point out my weaknesses when I can clearly see them. Number 3, I couldn't eat breakfast because I got some kind of food poisoning earlier that week, and the sickness had affected my schedule, so I didn't get as much done as I'd hoped. Number 4, with the wedding going on, we had family in town, so there were several additional activities, and I was exhausted. Number 5, my 8-year-old was playing with toys instead of brushing his hair and making his lunch for school. And as we were throwing food into a lunch sack 3 minutes before he had to go out the door, I was absolutely convinced that I had failed as a mother. On the drive to the wedding, however, I had time to assess what was really going on. And it comes down to this. I want to be perfect right now. I want the straight line and the smooth path. I want to implement all the good things I learn, and I want to get them right the first time. I want my reality to match my vision immediately. But because I plan to be a part of this Learn, Do, Become community for years to come, and I hope you will too, I think it's best if we get our expectations clear up front. There is no way that any of us can implement every good strategy all at the same time. And anything worth accomplishing is going to include some missteps. But that doesn't mean we give up. It means we shift our perspective. Here are the thoughts that shifted my perspective on Friday. First, there is something empowering about seeing our lives as imperfect journeys. The word perfect, in fact, is often misunderstood. It comes from the Greek word teleos, which actually means complete, whole, fully developed. It does not mean flawless or without error. It means growing, doing, and becoming. The reason our journey is imperfect is because it is not yet complete. And I need that to be the case because I don't want to be finished. I'm not finished building my marriage, teaching and enjoying my children, exploring the world, or doing my part to make an impact on the lives of others. Whether we know it or not, each of us has a unique mission. And until that mission is fully complete, we are going to be imperfect. I think I can finally be okay with that. Second, peace and joy come when we're pursuing the ideal. It isn't motion that exhausts us. It's being stagnant. When we're giving our all to a relationship or a project, something deep inside us knows we're becoming a higher version of ourselves. And when everything goes wrong, we're still gaining experience. That has value. Third, it's the struggle that brings us together. If you think about the people you love the most, they're most likely the people you have served the most, or the people who have served you the most, especially when life hasn't gone as planned. A few months ago, I realized we will probably never have a treehouse in our backyard. It had been a dream of mine for my entire life, but because other things have taken priority, like weekly visits to my mom who has Alzheimer's, the time for the treehouse has passed. Last week, however, I asked our daughter to paint a favorite quote on a canvas to hang in our kitchen. When she presented it to me, I noticed a little element she'd added to the bottom right corner. A treehouse. And you can see the quote and the treehouse if you want to come to the post. I'll share what the quote is as well. It's by Ralph Waldo Emerson, and it says, "The purpose of life is to be useful, to be honorable, to be compassionate, to have it make some difference that you have lived and lived well." It brought tears to my eyes as I realized I finally got it, the treehouse, even if it didn't come in the way I expected. And it's because of the years and years of struggle that Aaliyah's kindness meant so much to me. I kept thanking her over and over again. At the end of the day, I got the drawer looking better. I have a little picture of our scissor drawer. The vegetable bin is in the car waiting to be returned. My stomach's feeling settled. The wedding festivities have come to an end, and I set up a routines chart for my 8-year-old that is working beautifully. I mentioned to another sister that I was considering writing this post and publicly sharing the fact that I struggle. For some reason, I told her, people like to know when I'm having a hard time. She smiled as she offered a slight correction. They just like to know they're not alone. I'm excited to have you here with us at Learn, Do, Become. Thanks for being with us on this imperfect journey. We hope that through our small efforts, we can make a difference for you and support you as you make a difference for others. And the Learn, Do, Become challenge is this. Consider your own struggles, whatever's currently frustrating you, and identify at least one way you can shift your perspective so that you can more fully enjoy your imperfect journey. Now, I want to add a little something about this. For most of my life, I have worried about pleasing other people, letting people down, perfectionism, and a lot of the things that I've shared on this podcast or in posts on Learn to Become have been talking about that process and that journey. Now, I don't know that I'm 100% out of that, but I actually feel like I'm mostly out of that now. And a couple of things have really, really helped me. Number one is making a consistent effort, recognizing what my problem was, and consistently trying to get the right mindset in place. That's been huge. I read a lot of books, I talk to a lot of people, and I learn as much as I can. Number two, I have to give a shout out to Dr. David Burns' book, Feeling Good. I'm just about done listening to the audio version of the book because it's a big, thick book. But the audio version, oh my goodness. I'm talking about it everywhere I can because it just hits the nail on the head. I was telling Eric this morning, I feel happier than honestly I've ever felt in my life. And I'm 40 years old, taking me some time to get here. But I'm not trying to please everybody anymore. And I'm doing the work that I feel called to do, recognizing it is imperfect, but at least it's out there. So anyway, just some resources that may be helpful to you as well. Okay, one more audio post I'm going to share today. This is called Use Liberating Truths to Reach Your Dreams. Do you ever feel like you are being held back from reaching your potential and that life is always getting in the way? But then you realize the problem is really inside you? It's so hard to acknowledge that sometimes. Eric and I recently attended the Best Year Ever Live conference, which was a great experience. Michael Hyatt guided us through writing out our dreams in 10 different life domains. Then we identified the limiting beliefs holding us back. Wow, it was a huge wake-up call that helped me to see that I was subconsciously setting myself up for disappointment time and time again. It is incredibly hard for me to post things like this, but I'm pretty sure I'm not alone. Working through this exercise has had a truly positive impact on me, and I hope it can help you too. Here are photos of the actual worksheets. Those are inside the post. But in case they are hard to read, they're also typed out below. So first we described what we really want for 2018. And here's what I wrote. So this was about 6-7 months ago. Spiritual. Feel a consistent, lifting spirit each day. Hear Him. Unwavering faith, knowing I can ask for help whenever I need it. Intellectual. Consistently challenge my brain. New concepts, ideas, quotes, skills, abilities. Feel alive through books, conferences, classes, and online learning. Record what I learn. Emotional. Dramatically reduce anxiety and fear. Be confident in who I am and what I am choosing to do with my life. Do not let people-pleasing or unnecessary guilt prevent me from thriving. Physical. Get more solid sleep at night so I can invest energy hiking, skating, or doing other exercise I love during the day. Always have plenty of green vegetables on hand. Marital. Find that balance between being engaged in one another's goals and projects and giving each other space to think and focus on individual needs. Create time for more fun. Parental. Be more deliberate each month and week about the kinds of activities and the amount of support I give to each child. Don't parent, quote, for kids. Be a deliberate mother to Aaliyah, Grace, Ethan, and Spencer. Social. Plan date nights and family activities with friends we can trust who lift us and can speak candidly about navigating life well. Inspire and support one another. Vocational. Really come alive this year. A beautiful foundation is in place, and it's time to think bigger and shift into stronger leadership instead of trying to do too much myself. Avocational. Butterfly at Power of Moms. That means like dance, live my mission, do what I love at Power of Moms. That's my website for mothers. Financial. Learn to invest wisely. So once we identified all those things that we wanted for this ideal year, we then recorded limiting beliefs and liberating truths. So I'll go through and explain each one. So for spiritual, this was my limiting belief. God has other children who need him more. He would appreciate it if I could fend for myself. The liberating truth, God wants me to come to him. Fending for myself is the adversary's instructions. God has plans for me and he will help me. My job is not to put limits on God. Now, looking back on this, I can't believe that's what I believed, but I did. And identifying that liberating truth has helped me so much this year. Intellectual. My limiting belief was this. There are some subjects I'm just not good at. It's too late to get started, and I am embarrassingly far behind. Liberating truth. I can study my areas of interest, and learning some new material is always an opportunity. There is no shame in not knowing everything. Only God knows all. Emotional limiting belief was this. I have a moral obligation to make sure everyone in the world is happy with me. Liberating truth. I have a moral obligation to love others as God would, but if I am doing my best and that upsets someone, it's not my fault. I can apologize for wrongs and make needed corrections, but I don't have to please everyone. Physical limiting belief. I have too many people who need me. There is no way I can get enough sleep and have time for exercise and healthy eating. It's selfish. Liberating truth. Putting the big rocks of personal care is essential. Other details that consume my time are not all essential. Marital limiting belief. I shouldn't ever need individual time. My need for quiet is a weakness. And if I plan fun, we won't get our work done. Liberating truth. My strengths are different than Eric's. Quiet and fun replenishes me. An empty well helps no one. Parental limiting belief. I am lacking in knowledge and expertise when it comes to really tailoring motherhood to the needs of each child. Their weaknesses are my fault. Liberating truth. I love my children and have what it takes to mother them. Their weaknesses are because they are mortal and growing. I can give them space for that. I need space for that too. Social limiting belief. Time with friends takes away time from my family. I shouldn't need it or want it, and it's too risky to form deep, honest friendships. I might get hurt or not have enough to give. Liberating truth. Friends are a gift. I can build relationships in a variety of ways, but it is worth it to build strong friendships and will bring so much joy to life. Friends are the family we choose for ourselves. Vocational limiting belief. Thinking bigger in my business is just going to bring more problems. Liberating truth. Thinking bigger in my business will allow me to be a support to more people. This is not about me. I can solve problems. Avocational limiting belief. People will probably think I am ridiculous if I butterfly to my heart's content. Liberating truth. My voice may not resonate or be helpful to everyone, but I am not here to lift everyone. I am here to live my specific mission. Financial limiting belief. Learning to invest might cause us to lose money because I will probably be bad at it. Liberating truth. There are trusted advisors out there who can help with investing. I don't have to become an expert in order to be conversant. I am excited. Seeing on paper the thoughts that were holding me back was incredibly eye-opening. It gave me some concrete ideas for mindset shifts I need to work on this year. And I hope that as you start walking through what you really want for your year, this exercise can give you a boost. And even if you're listening to this mid-year, it can give you a boost right now. If you do decide to give it a try, please report back in the comment section. And it's really fun to be able to read the comments of what people have shared, because I'm seeing that it's really common for each of us to have limiting beliefs. And when we can actually identify them, open our eyes to them and realize we're not alone, it's pretty amazing. This year is one where I've decided it's time for me to grow. I have been way too stressed and overwhelmed, and I recognize that I've had the luxury of worrying about things that really aren't that important. I want to be an instrument for good in the world. There are people out there who are hungry, who are depressed, who are discouraged, who are falling apart and don't have support. And there's a lot of good that we can do financially, with our children, doing service. I mean, there's so much available to be able to be helpful to other people. And I feel like I've spent too much of my life comparing myself and feeling worried that I wasn't matching up or that I wasn't yet perfect. So I'm hoping that as I share my weaknesses and I share my journey and share a little bit about what's going on from my perspective, that it can be helpful to you. Because what we want to create here at Learn, Do, Become is a community of people who are not only organized, but they have their lives architected, meaning we have a plan. We have a method to strengthening our families, to being able to live according to our values, to setting goals and moving forward in our lives and in our professions. And then we're able to really thrive and live our unique mission and give back. Because this isn't about us. It's not about just having the dream house and having money for retirement. I mean, that's great and it's important to be able to progress and grow. But what we really want is to be able to have a community where we're encouraging each other to be our best selves and to then be able to put that out into the world and expand it and use it as a way to ultimately help take care of all of our brothers and sisters and friends, however you want to think about it here in the world. So thank you so much. Come to the show notes page for this episode if you want to get links to all of the posts that I read. If you go to learndobecome.com/radio, you can see all of our podcast episodes. And we're here to support you and help you and do whatever we can. What's funny is I was even hesitant to record this podcast because I thought, oh, it's not a perfect podcast. And I have all these little voices in my head saying, well, what if people think this is lame and da-da-da-da, right? And I'm sure some people will think it's lame. I'm finally okay with that. But I'm realizing I just need to sit down and start sharing the things that I'm excited about and the things that I wish I'd had years ago. Because if my mistakes can make your journey easier, then that's awesome. And then guess what? Each of you can turn around and help others with your experience and expertise. Have an amazing day. We'll see you soon at learndobecome.com.